Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the first round of the Eternal Tournament Series Last Chance Qualifier. We're kicking off game one right here between level 13 David on Combri Aggro versus Catalyst on Felmscar Control.
Yep, these are both fairly stock versions of their respective archetypes. Level 13 David is opting for the Xenon Obelisk Temple Scribe version of Combri Aggro as opposed to the Copper Hall Elite Vodkin Staff version. And the only other really notable thing is that level 13 David is not playing Inspire or Finest Hour and is instead playing Protect, which will be much better for him in this matchup.
Yeah, it will be a lot better being able to protect against those removals like the Annihilates. We go ahead and see level 13 David getting down his early turn 2 Awakened Student.
Which Catalyst is going to be able to answer with this Lightning Storm. Oh, but he instead opts to Seek Power. That's pretty risky considering that it's going to grow out of range of Lightning Storm quickly.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to opt to not Lightning Storm it for the Permafrost. Interesting decision there. But Permafrost doesn't have but so many good targets in this matchup since it can't hit the Sandstorm Titan, and you can't lock Seraph down, though. That is important.
Yeah, I like using saving the Permafrost and using the Lightning Storm instead, just because Lightning Storm really only can answer the Awakened Student this turn, whereas Permafrost is going to find a lot of targets like that Seraph or various Cumbra Healer type things. But either way, he can block it with this Felon Bloodcaster, so it's not a horrible mistake or anything.
Yeah, he'll be able to block for the time being. Level 13 David he's got the Cumbra Healers here to get him some more units on board, possibly increase the health of the Seraph, but lacking a power drop this turn.
Yeah, and that's really crucial for Catalyst because he doesn't have any way to answer the Sandstorm Titan if it came down this turn. So he'd be looking at taking 5, 10, even 15 damage from it.
Yeah, it could become a very quick clock and roll him over, but we're not going to see that. We're seeing level 13 go ahead and have a little bit of deliberation here, figuring out what unit he wants to weave in, or really rather where he wants to put the Combra Healer buff.
Yeah, if you put it on the Seraph is more likely to survive combat and such, but then the healer will die to Lightning Storm, so he opts to put it on the healer.
Yeah, you're going to go ahead and keep his healers a little bit thicker so that they can stay on board. Catalyst picking up a Staff of Stories on the draw, still unfortunately not having any plays until he can get that down.
Yeah, the Staff of Stories is really nice with the Felon Bloodcaster, though, because level 13 David, especially with missing another power drop here, isn't going to be putting on any meaningful pressure, so Catalyst is going to be able to draw multiple cards off the Staff of Stories, and anytime you draw multiple cards of the Staff, you just feel so good.
Yeah, something to note for level 13 David is not only is he short a power, but he is also short a second green influence, a Justice influence, so he can't get the Valkyrie Enforcer down here, which would really help a lot here, and it would actually make it so that the Staff of Stories that's going to come down next turn would get popped.
Yeah, although the second 2/5 here is going to put some pressure on it. Well, until that Steward of the Past was drawn. That's very, very good here. Really locks down the ground.
Yeah, and I have to imagine we'll be seeing that, and we do out of Catalyst. The Steward is such a good unit at just keeping these board slogs.
Yeah, it's the Shadow Sandstorm Titan. Like, it's just a dominant 4-drop that really messes up the board for your opponent. And interestingly here, level 13 David still doesn't have that power, so he can't deploy the Titan, which for Catalyst means that his Black Sky Harbinger will actually do something relevant. Like, Black Sky Harbinger is a great unit and an amazing card, but it's pretty embarrassing against Sandstorm Titan specifically.
Yeah, 3/5 lifesteal does not look very good into the 5/6 endurance body when you can't just make it fly over it. So not attractive here. But we actually see Catalyst opt not to commit the Black Sky Harb, instead getting the Staff of Stories down.
Yeah, I actually really like that play because there's no way that level 13 David can really threaten this staff reasonably. Like, if he attacks with everything, 2 of his units get eaten and the staff stays alive. And so level 13 David finally finds his 4th power here, but it's depleted, so all that he can do is play his Valkyrie Enforcer. So this staff is going to end up drawing 2 cards, it looks like.
Yeah, it does look like we're going to see the staff draw 2 cards. Picking up the 4th power, though, and really that second Justice influence makes a huge difference here on getting these Valk Enforcers down.
Yeah, so Black Sky Harbinger is going to be able to stabilize the board a little bit here to guarantee that next draw. And if Catalyst hits a Withering Witch off of these staff draws and is able to Withering Witch plus Lightning Storm, I think that he's going to win the game. And if he doesn't find any way to clear this huge board with Sandstorm Titan and then later on Marison's Disciple, then he's going to lose.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tricky situation for him. I'm curious to see if we will see Sandstorm Titan come down next turn, or if he picks up another powerful, see him weave in maybe like the Vulcan Forcer and the Desert Marshal.
So Catalyst actually opts to ultimate the Bloodcaster instead of play Black Sky Harbinger. So what that tells me is that he sort of recognizes that he needs to find Withering Witch to win this game, and if he does, he probably will win because he's sacrificing an extra draw from his Lightning Storm in order to draw another card right away here.
Yeah, and we see level 13 David doing a little bit of deliberation here, trying to figure out what combat math works out the best. It looks I'm not sure why, since he has the other Volk, he can just guarantee the 3N, but he might be trying to push for a massive amount of damage on the board.
Oh yeah, silencing off that permafrost on the Awakened student and just getting in with everything. It looks like.
Yeah, I'm not too against that play actually, forcing him to block the 4/4 and being able to push like an extra 2 damage here or there, and it creates another threat on the board. Catalyst is, since he has the double Lightning Storms though, now he actually will be able to clean up the entirety of this board, sans the 2 Cobra Healers.
Yeah, he could do the double lightning storm, or he could just try and muck up the ground with the predatory connoisseur. But it looks like he is opting for the lightning storms, and then
I think
probably
I
champion.
think Yeah, probably follow up with the champion. I think that was too sweet to pass up. Like it was just, it looks so good. The double lightning storm actually clearing up like 4 units.
Yeah, given that that was his plan, I'm surprised that he didn't double block one of the Cambrai healers and kill it last turn and just take an extra 4 damage. Cambrai aggro doesn't really have any reach, so you're okay to go down to the single digits against it.
Yeah, and the rest of his hand's looking pretty solid. This predatory Carnosaur will be able to clean up even like the Sandstorm Titan pretty well.
Yeah, Carnosaur is an excellent answer to Sandstorm Titan, and you never expect predatory Carnosaur out of your Felnscar opponent.
Yeah, exactly. We'll hope he has the Desert Marshal up, so he might be able to get a nice block in with it. But go ahead and see just the Champion of Chaos coming across here, seeing if he can get in for 5. I'm assuming Dave is just going to go ahead and let that in, and he will.
I like this play from Catalyst, not just slamming the Harbinger. He doesn't have another way to combo with Withering Witch. If he just had slammed it there, and he's super rewarded immediately by wisdoming into the Witch. So by saving that Harbinger, he now has a way to sweep up the board next turn.
Yeah, the
So he really
Harbinger.
has all the answers here.
Yeah, the Harbinger is going to come in really clutch here, being able to clean up 4 units by itself. And level 13 David's play here is, I mean, he can get the Sandstorm Titan down, and it will be decent, but it's going to have to do the job of the whole army. It's going to be the one Sandstorm Titan versus the entirety of Catalyst.
Yeah, and interestingly, so if Catalyst opts to play the Carnosaur right away and kill this Titan, it will work because level 13 David won't have power available for Desert Marshal. But if he goes for Black Sky Harbinger to sweep up all the smaller units, then next turn the Carnosaur attack will get intercepted.
Yeah, if it does get intercepted, though, are you too worried about it? Since it'll still essentially on the next turn punch through the Sandstorm Titan, right?
That's true, but it basically just gives you one more turn of being able to attack with your 5/6. Although maybe that doesn't matter with all of these little units clogging the ground.
Yeah, and the Champion of Chaos is going to keep swinging in regardless of the Titan. That Champion of Chaos all powered up is looking real scary.
Yeah, and this 6 health gain from this Black Sky Harbinger really puts level 13 David on the back foot. Like now Catalyst is the beatdown, and dropping a Carnosaur when you're the beatdown is just ridiculous. You get to clear out a blocker for this turn and then have a huge 6/6 for next turn.
Yeah, and level 13 David doesn't have any answers in his deck for this very quickly massing board. And these Champions of Chaos are just, they're going to have to get Desert Marshal, I'd imagine.
Yeah, even eating the champion with the Desert Marshal, like dropping it to a 3/3 and then blocking with the Titan, isn't going to do a whole lot. Like, he's just going to get overwhelmed by sheer numbers here.
Interesting. We go ahead and see Catalyst almost fires off the Annihilate there, but opts to drop the Carnosaur and go for the attack first. We'll see if level 13 David wants to respond with the Desert Marshal, and he will.
Yeah, and he actually has answers to the Annihilate as well, like with the Protect. So I think he's going to stave off all attempts to kill this Titan this turn and then die anyways.
Yeah, unfortunately, the board Catalyst is built up is just too strong. The 2 Champions of Chaos, the Black Sky Harb, and the fact that the Carnosaur is not going anywhere. It's still just going to be a 6/6. So next turn it'll come rolling through, and Titan really doesn't have an answer to it.
He's thinking about silencing the Carnosaur, but that doesn't do anything. Okay, he correctly silences one of the champions.
Yeah, much better off silencing the champion there. And let's see if Catalyst wants to fire off this Annihilate. And he does. This is going to get met with Protect from level 13 David. And that should result in level 13 David at least getting, another turn here. He's still alive, but the board state is looking very grim for him.
I was like A plus space here. What's he gonna do? Like eat Black Sky Harbinger and take another 9?
Yeah. I think you're probably right there with A space, and you would have gotten the Desert Marshal out anyway. Probably would have gotten killed on a unit. So probably a little bit better to push A space there, but.
So I mean, so Catalyst was like really careful there and like got sort of punished, but he's still so far ahead. Like he's about to draw 4 more cards. He has that 6/6. I just don't see Catalyst losing this game.
Yeah, I mean, David's basically out of card advantage, and the only card he's holding at this point is Protect, which Protect not a completely dead card, but it's not answering the board.
Yeah, you really Combat aggro, since it is an aggro deck with no reach, has no cards that cost more than his Carnosaur is the only card that costs more than 4 mana. So once you get behind on the board, the game is really over. Like you don't really have ways to catch up. Oh, Catalyst with the greedy wisdom, hoping to find another undepleted power for his Statuary Maiden and doesn't find one.
Yeah, misses that, but I mean, does it even matter? Like 2 Statuary Maidens, this is like nightmares, right? Like 2. Does it trigger both? Do you get 2 cudgels when something dies, or do you only get 1 since it transforms?
You only get 1. There's only 1 unit to transform into a cudgel.
Okay. I have not played with the double Statuary Maidens, so I am unfamiliar with the interaction entirely.
Well, even if you do get double Statuary Maiden out, you generally don't get to see the interaction because your opponent just concedes.
Yeah, the 2/4 deadly turn things into a cudgel, pretty scary. Not much you can do about it. As we said, the Death Strike coming down here from Catalyst is going to go ahead and try and pick up Seraph. It gets protected, but we're still in a situation where level 13 David still can't even activate the Seraph next turn if he did pick up a Sigil. So this game should be all but over.
Yeah, it's going to take 2 or 3 more turns to punch through the defensive units, but eventually this Black Sky Harbinger is going to fly over, or they're going to put a cudgel on Steward of the Past or something, and just going to be able to pound through all these ground blockers. Yeah, I would recommend not putting a cudgel on Black Sky Harbinger because then it can get vanquished.
Yeah, not seeing any of those at a level 13 David yet. He picks up a power, so there's like a weird off draw, but with the Suffocate picked up and the Death Strike in hand, Catalyst is just gonna clean everything up and go to the face for what I believe is lethal. Yeah.
Yeah, super lethal, right?
It's actually only I think 1 over. His board because the cudgels, right. Yeah, the cudgels push it over by a lot, but even just the board itself presented lethal, so
yeah, they do always recommend never trying to do math on stream, but we defy the odds.
Yeah, we defy the odds. We try and do it very quickly and then forget that, there's a Statuary Maiden down. You get some cudgels. Either way, we'll be seeing Catalyst go ahead and pick up that game, and we will see a 1-0 in his favor as we go into sideboarding. Let's go ahead and take a look at these players' sideboards. We'll go ahead and start with Catalyst since he won.
So he doesn't really have a lot going on here. He could possibly board in Ruin, but he only has a couple targets for that, just the Xenon Obelisks. And most of his other stuff is very anti-control. Like I would be surprised if he did 0 sideboarding.
Yeah, this is mostly an anti-control list, you're right. Yeah, wow, I'm really not seeing much to pull in here. We can just run it down real quick. He's got 2 Ruin, 3 Sabotage, 2 Backlash, a Furnace Mage, 2 Rain of Frogs, a single Staff of Sories, 2 Celestial Omens, an Azandal's Gift, and a Scourge of Frostholm. So yeah, mostly control matchup stuff. Not a lot coming in on that side. We'll go ahead and throw it over then, I guess, to level 13 David's list since he is on the stream. Let's go ahead and check out what he brought in his sideboard.
Yeah, so he's got 4 Finest Hours, 2 Protects to finish up the full set, 1 Vanquish to finish up the full set, 2 Scorpion Wasps, 2 Stand Together, 3 Healer's Cloak, and the 4th Xenon Obelisk. So he has a lot more options here. So you definitely want those Protects and Stand Togethers against a deck full of removal spells. Xenon Obelisk is perhaps good to make your units outsize the big blockers from Felnscar. But the hard part is what do you board out?
Um, I feel like the Vanquishes mostly come out. At least one or two of them, right? Like maybe you keep one Vanquish, maybe two for the cudgeled up units. But other than that, Vanquish misses the entirety of the deck, the Feldscar deck, unless I'm mistaken there. But I can't think of a unit they have that has more than 4 attack.
Yeah, there's a couple of Champions of Chaos and yeah, cudgeled units. So yeah, I think the Vanquish can safely go. You can probably cut some of your power providing units like Initiate of the Sands. Like that's just going to die to Vara's favor or not be able to attack profitably. And presumably the game is going to go long enough that you're going to want all threats and not little accelerators like that.
Yeah. Do you think we will see the Scorpion Wasps come in, or the Finest Hours?
So Finest Hour is good early game when your opponent's trying to block with Felon Bloodcasters and stuff. But after that, it gets really risky. If you have to Finest Hour to get past the blocker, then they can play a removal spell in response and really blow you out. So I don't like Finest Hour in combo aggro against control decks.
Yeah, that's definitely a good assessment of it. I might also not bring it in anyway, since a lot of the Feldscar units have Deadly. You're really just buffing your unit to make sure their unit dies, and then you're still just getting 2 for 1 off the Deadly. So probably won't see those come in. What about Scorpion Wasp or Healer's Cloak? Think we'll see Healer's Cloak come in?
No, your health total is completely irrelevant, so I don't think you need Healer's Cloak. And Scorpion Wasp is a little more reactive than you want to be, I think. Like, it's a good way to answer a Black Sky Harbinger or a if they attack with their Statuary Maiden, but by that point where they're attacking with those units, you're already in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah. So we did see a couple of interesting cards sideboarded in. I think we did see level 13 David leaving the Finest Hours. I'm not entirely sure we did, but I do recall them being in there when he had 79 cards. So he only had 4 more to pull with 4 Finest Hours in. Might be seeing a few of those come in. Either
Yeah.
way, looks like we
Yeah.
are jumping into game 2 right here. We'll see who's on the play first, and it looks like it will be level 13 David.
And that's exactly what he needs. And he does have the Finest Hours in, a couple of them. And that's fine. Like if you see it in your opening hand, you can put on a lot of pressure early. So maybe he's trying to not depend on sort of grinding a little bit, and he just wants to go as hard as fast as he can and try to end the game on turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a terrible strategy against Feldscar. A lot of their deck is a little bit slower, a little bit more reactive, has to take the time to build its strategy up. So if you can get in with these Awakened students here on turn, 2 and 3, could turn out very well for him. But
Yeah, and Feldscar gets really clunky draws like this one that Catalyst has right now. Like all of his power is coming into play depleted. He's not going to be able to Lightning Storm this Awakened student.
but he
He
will.
that was a very clutch draw of the Shadow Sigil there. That also means that his Champion of Chaos will have Deadly when the time comes. Oh, but he plays the Shadow Sigil. That seems like a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know why he played the Shadow Sigil there instead of one of the seats, but we'll see. We see level 13 David going ahead and getting this 3/3 Awakened student down, and he's holding the Protect up, but Catalyst doesn't have an immediate response anyway, so not too big of an issue.
Yeah, he's just going to be looking to play a Steward of the Past to trade with that.
Yeah, we see Catalyst getting a little bit punished here for that misplay with the Shadow Sigil, since he's going to go ahead and skip his entire 3rd turn here.
Yeah, that could otherwise be a 4/4 champion that could trade with this. He's going to take an extra 4 damage.
Yeah, actually, interestingly enough, it would have only been 4/4, but still, 4/4 Deadly on turn 3 would have matched very well with this Awakened suit.
Yeah, and level 13 David is really executing his plan here. Like he has a 4/4 and a 3/4 with a couple protects up. Like he just wants to get in a bunch of hits with those guys and ride him to victory. However, this is sort of what you don't plan for, just when the Felm deck draws a bunch of deadly units and it's kind of hard to punch through them.
Yeah. Another interesting thing out of Catalyst, maybe messing with his land a little bit, but we see him go ahead and drop a non-fire influence giving seat, which may come back to bite him if he draws another Fire Sigil next turn, since he would be able to have the 5/5 champion. I'm going to go ahead and just trade it here into the Awakened student, though. Try and get it off the board. Not necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah, I think you definitely trade. Like you're the deck that is more favored the longer the game goes. So anything you can do to extend the game is good.
Yeah, coming into Catalyst next turn, he's going to have a interesting decision here. Does just go ahead and get the Steward down, so we're going to see a board stall, which means level 13 David is going to be looking for power. You just go ahead and chug out units with these Seraphs.
Yeah, he also is kind of looking for a Valkyrie Enforcer because if you can silence this Steward of the Past, then he can start attacking in and getting some damage.
Ah, and right
Yeah,
off the top, we see the Valk Enforcer come down, going to be able to silence that. And yeah, now he can start actually at least chipping away for 3 damage a turn.
yeah, and no stop from Catalyst there, so you know that he doesn't have a torch and you're safe to attack with these Seraphs.
Yep. And we see Catalyst holding a Death Strike next turn. I have to imagine that's going to get fired off into a Protect, so we could easily see level 13 David just kind of run away with this game.
Yeah, he's got a 3-turn clock going right now, and Catalyst doesn't have anything currently that can stop it.
Yeah, just drawing power right now. Let's see. Yeah, gonna go ahead and he's gonna elect to fire off that Death Strike on level 13 David's turn, which is a much better play. But with
Yeah,
the
he
Xena
would have
Novelist
gotten
coming
super
down,
rewarded if level 13 David hadn't drawn the power there, because then he couldn't have played the obelisk while leaving up protect. But the draw of the 5th power just makes it so level 13 David gets to have his cake and eat it too.
yeah, really, we're gonna see this Death Strike get fired in. I'm assuming. Ooh, actually elects to hold it. I guess. Oh no, there it is. Gonna go ahead and drop it in the Seraph. We see Protect on the way back, and Catalyst has to be sweating a little bit, taking this 8 right here, going down to 10 with 3 units on board that are much too big for his Lightning Storm to clean up, and no other answers.
Yeah, you need a Withering Witch stat. So
Yeah,
he's got one more draw step only.
yeah, he really needed to find that Withering Witch there, and not gonna find it. Gonna go down to 2 here. Yeah, this is looking like a Withering Witch or bust sort of situation right now.
I guess Harbinger also buys you a bunch of time, gains 4 health on summon, and then can block a thing.
Yeah, it could hold the 4/4 down. If level 13 David does just get to 8 power though, like we may see Catalyst have problems just dealing with the Seraph units being pumped out.
Yeah, Seraph is a very, very good card.
Ooh, double Lightning Storm.
So
Well,
that does not keep him alive. Just kills 2 of the units, but 2 Seraphs and only 1 blocker. So Catalyst just concedes out of the game.
yeah, that was like the next best card he needed, but unfortunately not enough there. So we will go ahead and see the series get tied up at 1 game apiece. We're gonna see players go back into their sideboards really quick. We'll go ahead and take a little more in-depth look now that we can see his list up on the screen. We do see that 2 of the finest hours did in fact come in.
Yeah, he left an initiate. He was just all in on beating down as fast as possible that game.
Yeah, and I mean, his game plan worked out pretty well for him there. Catalyst having a bit of issues drawing a lot of power and not a lot of answers, but that is the downside of playing tricolor control decks. Sometimes you draw a lot of land, or sometimes you draw a lot of your specific answers without the cards to combo with them, such as Withering Witch for that Lightning Storm.
Yeah, as they say, there are wrong answers, but no wrong threats. If you have any threat that isn't answered, it'll win the game. Whereas your answers only line up with specific threats.
Yeah.
So the
Uh,
onus is definitely on the reactive deck to have the correct sequencing.
so we did see 6 cards come in out of level 13 David there, and I think we saw the Vanquishes pulled out. I'm curious as to what his second card he pulled was.
He
Maybe
took out some initiates of the sand.
okay, so he cut the initiates. Yeah, so he cut 3 initiates, and I think the set of Vanquishes for 4 finest or yeah 2 finest hours, the other 2 protects, and 2 more stand together. So a lot of protection coming out on his side, just keeping his units alive. And we saw how useful the protect there was there that game, keeping his unit alive from the death strike and just all those little removal threats.
Yeah, if you can get under your opponent and then counter their removal spells with protects and stand togethers for less power than your opponent is spending, then you're gonna win the game. Like you're just being so much more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. 1 mana protect versus 4 mana death strike is a very good trade for the combo.
All right, well, level 13 David is finally going to get to cast the Sandstorm Titan on turn 4.
Yeah, and we do see Catalyst go ahead and seek power on turn 1. Level 13 David just going ahead and getting some of these depleted banners into play.
Yeah, this is actually a really dream curve from level 13 David.
Yeah, this is pretty nice out of him. I think the Dream is Awakened Student instead of the Temple Scribe, but this is about as good as it gets for him.
Yeah, that's true. It has 2-3-4 with the Zetan Obelisk, but the 2-3-4 is Temple Scribe Combra Healer instead of Awakened Student Seraph. So he's not going to be beating down for a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, and we see Catalyst running into a little bit of power issues, but he does at least get the Champion of Chaos down. If he can find his power, he's got a lot of very powerful threats, including the Withering Witch Black Sky Harp combo.
Yeah, and if he finds one more primal, the wisdom should fix all of these issues. But otherwise, he just like needs any power to cast Death Strike. And ooh, it did bring in Furnace Mage. Interesting.
Yeah, I found the Furnace Mage, which is nice, but this is kind of the issue with playing 3-color control decks, is that most of the cards that you really want to cast, as we're seeing in the hand, like the Death Strike requires 2 Shadow Sigils, or 2 Shadow Influence. The Wisdom of the Elders requires 2 Primal Influence, and the Furnace Mage requires 2 Fire Influence. So you're very constrained on getting all your mana down.
Yeah, you would just want to draw a bunch of Seek powers every game.
Yeah, I found Bloodcaster, for a non-power pickup, that was about as good as it could get.
Yeah, at least it's a castable card. Like it blocks. Interestingly, level 13 David opted to play the Xenon Obelisk so that he could attack with Combra Healer instead of playing Sandstorm Titan last turn. So that means Catalyst gets to brick the attacks this turn with that Bloodcaster.
Yeah, we'll just get to chump into the Combra Healer.
Well, he's running the chump check here though. Like, does Catalyst block? Like, what if he has Finest Hour? But I think you have to block. Like, you're so far behind.
Maybe you have to block. Actually, I'm not sure if the 3 health matters. Maybe the information is worth the 3 health, but it's not looking good for Catalyst. Like, he really has to find power to dig himself out of this hole. And level 13 David kicking it up a notch with the Sandstorm Titan coming down, and he's even got the Protect to follow up if Catalyst finds a power for this Death Strike.
Yeah, and just another Bloodcaster. Throws out that you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, not what he was looking for there. Looking for power, not finding power in your control matchups always feels really bad. Like, we see Catalyst just has this ultra powerful hand where he's got all these threats and he could easily clean this board up, but not having power to play any of it.
Actually, if Catalyst draws a Shadow that like turns on the champion's deadly and activates a Death Strike, like the Death Strike will probably get protected, but still the champion will be able to trade the Sandstorm Titan, and then Catalyst is pretty fine. Like the Combra Healer and the Temple Scribe aren't really putting on the beatdowns too much.
Yeah, we're seeing level 13 David in an interesting situation here, though. With the second Bloodcaster coming down, it actually makes his attacks very awkward. Like, attacking with the Sandstorm Titan means that you can very easily be triple blocked and only actually get 1 unit back for it.
Yeah, the fact that he's not just snap attacking kind of signals like he doesn't have the Finest Hour, and he is a little bit worried about multi-blocks.
Yeah, this definitely gives a lot of information to Catalyst, seeing how he's hesitating with the Sandstorm Titan, and I think we're just going to see him go ahead and end his turn there. Next turn, we'll probably get in with the Reinarch and the Sandstorm Titan beat down, but not for this turn.
Yeah, once you have multiple big units like that, it's certainly a lot harder for your opponent to do good multi-blocks.
Yeah, I mean, man, this is really rough for Catalyst. If he could ever find power, like, this board is amazing for a Withering Witch Black Sky Harp, both of which he's holding.
David just ends the turn waiting for the 8th power in his hand so that his Obelisk is turned on. That just gives Catalyst a free turn here. I think that David is being a little bit more hesitant than he needs to be.
Yeah, I think that turn you need to get in there with the 6/7 Sandstorm and the 6/6 Reinarch. Like, even if you lose one of them, you're at least taking another unit on the way back. And he would have taken out this deadly champion before it got deadly.
All right, everything is huge now, and he's about to get knocked down to the single digits. But then Catalyst could draw another power here and play Withering Witch and still be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we'll see at least the Champion of Chaos take care of the Sandstorm Titan. And the 2/5s can block. The 2/5s can block the 3/3 to reduce a little bit of damage and take another unit off the board. And if Withering Witch comes down at that point, the 2/5s will be alive with only 3 units left on board. Interesting. If Catalyst finds a power, he may have just gotten himself back into this game, and it might have been on the back of level 13 David just being a little too cautious here.
Yeah, we do have to worry about the. If you're Catalyst, you do have to worry about the overwhelm on the Reinarch being at 6 health. But Rain of Frogs, I'm astonished. I guess it gets rid of protects. I don't know what Rain of Frogs is doing here.
Yeah, not a lot of work, and because he doesn't pick up the power, level 13 David gonna be unpunished and find his second win, taking him 2-1 over Catalyst there. So we see an early game from Combri aggro. It's nice to see a little bit of representation from Combri aggro here. Nice to see some Felonscar representation too, albeit Felonscar lost there due to a little bit of power screw. It's unfortunate when we watch one of our two players on the stream not actually be able to cast.
Yeah, I
But
wasn't able to get to a signature combo, but I mean, he still put up a fight. But just protect is just so tempo positive for the Cumbre aggro deck that he was able to pull out the game before Catalyst was able to stabilize.
yeah, we definitely saw that the power of protect come out really in the second and third games there. I mean, the third game too, where he's already behind on power. He's saving his whole turn to Death Strike, and then he fires off the Death Strike just into the Protect. Like it's just got to be crushing as Catalyst, as the control player, just watching your 4-mana Death Strikes just get annihilated essentially. Even though that is another card, annihilated by the Protect. So